address the AI market. Solving for infrastructure, we've combined the best in market offerings from NVIDIA with our award winning high performance parallel file system, Hitachi Content Software for File, or HCSF. This combination provides the fastest time to insights by accelerating the GPU workloads by over 20x. This, combined with our object storage platform HCP, provides the best-in-class economics for AI platforms, especially at scale. In addition to our infrastructure offerings, Hitachi will leverage our 110-year pedigree of powering operational technology, or OT industries, including transportation, energy, and manufacturing, to curate a portfolio of AI solutions offered within the Hitachi IQ portfolio. Built on NVIDIA's AI Enterprise Framework, these solutions will be designed to simplify the adoption of AI-driven outcomes across industry, furthering Hitachi's mission for improved sustainability and social innovation. By working with both our global ecosystem of partners and our Hitachi sister companies, Hitachi IQ's goal is simple. We want to create market-tailored AI solutions designed for both industrials and businesses committed to AI emergence. Its mission is to empower our customers' organizations to automate their processes, accelerate time to insights, and unlock innovation, allowing our customers to reach their full potential.
Good day, everybody. It's such a pleasant day to be with us today. And we would like to welcome you to our webinar, Harnessing the Transformative Power of AI with Hitachi IQ. By the way, my name is Ella, and I'm your host for today. And just a quick round of seeing if everyone's here, everyone's engaged. I just want to see if everyone's here. There we go. I see on the chat everyone saying hi, hello. Feel free to say hi to your fellow attendees. Send your emojis. We have different emojis that best describe what you feel right now. There we go. We see a lot of hands. All right. Now that I see that everyone is here and engaged, I would like to formally start our webinar. In this session, we will explore how Hitachi Vantara is empowering customers to harness the power of validated and seamlessly integrated industry-leading AI technologies, accelerating transformation journeys. Elevate Space has partnered with Hitachi Vantara for this webinar, a wholly owned subsidiary of Hitachi Limited. They guide their customers from what's now to what's next by solving their digital challenges. Working alongside each customer, they apply their unmatched industrial and digital capabilities to their data and applications to benefit both business and society. If you're interested in learning more about their solutions, products, and services, feel free to visit hitachivantara.com. And now let's take a look at our agenda for today. So we will be having a live discussion with Amit and Jason, and then that is followed by a video presentation by Anthony. And later at the end of the program, we will be having a live Q&A. And of course, if you will be staying until the end of the program, we have exciting news for you because we will be having a raffle draw. And for all of the early birds, we also have very exciting news because you will be getting a $10 voucher for Grab or Amazon, depending on where you're from. Once again, the first 100 attendees who will stay until the end of the program will be getting this in your email. And of course, for the big prize, we will be having a raffle later on for the iPhone 15. So one lucky participant will be getting the latest iPhone 15. All you need to do is stay until the end of the program, stay engaged with our question and answer, and make sure to answer our survey and polls because we will be checking those. And as I can see, everyone is really engaged, sending all those hearts, emojis, and just a quick rules for the Q&A. Feel free to send in your questions on the chat. I see that everyone has found the chat box here. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to ask, send them in. And for now, we will be giving out the handouts that will pop out on your screen. If you see it, on your lower left side. Please download it so you can follow through with our speakers and the discussions. All right, so to kickstart our session, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Amit. He is the solutions expert AI and high performance data platforms at Hitachi Vantara. Amit comes with over 18 years of strong techno commercial experience across pre sales, sales, channel, partner and distribution management, enablement, and business development. Amit joins us from Cohesity, where he was leading India channel business and was responsible for accelerating sales growth and pipeline by effectively growing, enabling, and leveraging our partner ecosystems in India. Once again, I introduce to you Amit.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you can hear me well and see me well as well. Good. I see some responses from the team. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining our webinar today. Uh, it's my pleasure to introduce our CTO Jason, and Jason is joining us from his vacation. Uh, People are saying my camera is not on. I have on my camera. Guys, can you put me on camera? My camera is on. Ella, can you help me? People are saying like they can see me. Yeah, perfect. I know sometimes these things happen, but a lot of people are saying they can see me. I'm perfectly fine with that. So let me introduce Jason. So Jason is joining us from his vacation, so that's why you see him a little casual. And Jason is always like that. He's very happy, very casual, but he's super techie, and he helps us in almost all of our technical deep dive discussions. So today it's my honor to introduce Jason. Jason is our global CTO for AI and high performance workloads. Uh, he brings in 20 plus years of experience solving most complicated data driven problems for one of the largest organizations, including uh, the ones that we see all around us. And I think some of you would have already known some of our customers as well around AI, object storage, artificial intelligence, as well as other high performance workloads. Welcome, Jason. Okay,
Thanks, Amit.
great.
It's nice to be here.
Thank you so much for joining. I hope we make it more interactive and helpful to our audience today. So, Jason, before we get into the discussion today, let me set some context. We all know that organizations today are looking at ways to innovate, ways to accelerate their time to market, leverage new technologies, develop new products, and while doing so, they want to leverage the tools and technologies and the trends that we all see today, right? Gen AI, Chat GPT, etc. Now, with the popularity of all these tools and the way we can easily access it, of course, it can help our customers uh, adopt AI and develop their products quickly, reduce their defect, and it can benefit them from a variety of ways. But as a CTO, I want to hear from you about what are the trends and use cases you see from our customers today, and how Gen AI can help these customers solve these challenges with the use cases and trends that you're seeing from the customers. So, what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, thanks for that, Amit, and thanks for the friendly introduction. It's great to be here. I'm glad to see such a positive response from everyone in the chat, especially. It's my pleasure. Yes, I'm on vacation, just finishing up. Spent a day at Disneyland with the kids, so it's been a full one. But yeah, AI. It's definitely a very popular topic right now. It's been framed as something that will revolutionize and is starting to revolutionize the market. If we look at it from a trend perspective, it's kind of been promised to reinvent who we are as companies and to identify new revenue streams and to help us understand our data better. And and even do a lot to improve on the efficiencies of our own employees, whether it's using co-pilots to develop code or cutting down the monotonous tasks that we don't like to do on a day-to-day basis, if, like spreadsheet analysts and things like that. So there's obviously a lot that it can bring in. We've had some companies who have used it as customer service agents and an extension of their customer service department, which I think is a pretty popular one. And then we have some customers who are like, hey, we want to target this as more of an internal type tool as we get used to it. That's probably the more conservative and probably the better approach to how we like to position AI today, especially generative AI, because it is kind of this unknown thing right now, and we need to get our expertise ramped up before we really jump in in a big way. But I think if we look at it from the trends, it's a lot of, hey, I don't want to miss out on using AI to improve my business because my competition is. And so it's created a bit of this FOMO or this fear of missing out. And it's also caused a bit of a jump into almost that cloud ecosystem, whether it be the chat GPTs or the Microsoft Copilots or the Geminis or all of these kind of commercially available public platforms, without probably fully understanding what the technology actually means, especially if we look at it from a generative approach. But I think all in all, the promise of what AI is really starting to show in the market and has kind of always been there in the background is really starting to get some energy behind it, and the development that's happening so quickly inside the open source communities and things like that, it definitely is starting to trend into a way that is simplifying it, is trying to make it easier to consume and to utilize, and with tools like RAG or retrieval augmentation and new capabilities around how we can process data. There's a lot that is actually starting to make it out less of a tool or a public, hey, I can make a bunch of cat pictures with it or do research on a homework or something like that, into enterprise grade. And from our perspective, that is who we really are, is focusing on how we can bring an enterprise readiness to the AI space, and then beyond, even into the mission critical. So there's a lot. We could spend hours on this topic. So
Yeah.
definitely stop me. But yeah, there's a lot that's starting to happen in the market, and it's moving very quickly. And Hitachi, obviously, we alone are positioned in a very unique space, having been in the research space for this since the 90s. So for several decades now. So it's definitely exciting times, though.
No, that's a great insight, Jason. I'm seeing while you're talking, people are saying they want to use the Copilot, they want to use ChatGPT. So there's a good response from the team as well. So I think it's resonating well with our audience as well. And to just bring the context, some of them are asking, do you have a presentation? Is just a panel discussion? So we are going ahead with a simple flow of Q&A based panel discussion. Please feel free to drop your questions on the chat. We have a lot of experts on the chat to answer your questions as well, and we'll take it at the end as well. With that, Jason, you touched base a little bit about the challenges, but I want to hear a little bit more on some of the common challenges organizations are facing today when they embark on AI journey, because not all AIs are successful, right? A lot of AIs are failing. The AIs are more like a research project, or I would say more like an in-house project. So that's where we want to hear from you about the challenges that our customers are facing. Can you throw some light?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's a great question, because the number one question I get, and I've been doing meetings, we've been working on our AI strategy for 3 years now, and I've been having a lot of these conversations as we've progressed it, a lot of our existing customers and a lot of net new customers. And the number one question is, the most common theme is, great, what are the use cases? Where do we start? Because it's this whole bubble of AI, whether it's generative AI or more the traditional AI side, it's like, great, this sounds awesome. I know I need it, but what do I need? What do I answer? What do I solve for with it? So the biggest, most common challenge is that starting point. It's understanding, hey, what is it applicable for my business? What makes sense? How do I do this without biting off more than I can chew? Because like you said, Amit, there's still a statistic out there that 80% of AI projects are still failing. And it's because it's kind of this rush into something that's a bit of the unknown. And you flounder around and you try a bunch of things and you dabble and you're like, well, we're trying. And it's kind of like you're a bit blind going into this whole new technology on how to best utilize it. It's kind of like when cloud first came around, but it's a lot more difficult because cloud was like, well, at least we could lift and move everything over and bring it back down. That was obviously expensive, and we did a bunch of retooling and created this containerization, a whole bunch of new ways to consume data and applications. AI is kind of that, hey, we know the cloud's important, we're going to move into it, but we don't actually understand it because it's a bit of a dark art. So it is this, where do we start, but also all the complexity that comes with it. I mentioned a bunch of things like RAG. If you don't know what RAG is, or if you don't know what tuning or training is, you're definitely going to be in for an awakening on like what this actually means. And then having these really high expectations that it's going to radically transform my business, which it has the potential for. And then it's going to allow us to move into this whole new way of doing things, and my people will have better ways of accessing information and better equipped to do their jobs and all this stuff. Absolutely, it's these radical thoughts. It's this expectation is very, very high for it. But really, the reality is that we don't fully understand it from an enterprise perspective. It's not fully well understood. It's very complex, and you're going into it without kind of that understanding of it. And then there's all these other things like, hey, what about the external dependencies? What about the data I'm going to feed into it? How am I going to actually interface into this thing? How can I make sure that I'm accurate in what I'm trying to do? And then, is my infrastructure even ready for it? So there's a lot that goes into, like, yes, very high expectations. The reality of it is a bit skewed because, again, it's a complex new thing, and you go into it a bit I don't want to say uninformed, but a bit with these crazy expectations, but not ready to actually execute on all of that. And it's our job to guide you guys through this on what this actually means. So that's really where we take hold and say, hey, yes, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of where do we start? How do we ensure that we have quality, high quality output and prevent the garbage in, garbage out problem? How do we do this with our systems that we need to integrate into? And then more importantly is how can we ensure that we're not signing ourselves up for a bunch of liability? I think the number one example I like to use on that is Air Canada, a popular Canadian airline in Canada, hence the name, built out a customer chatbot, exposed it out to their customers, and they did a whole bunch of stuff for them, was answering all these questions. It had this little thing called a hallucination happen. And unfortunately, that hallucination made up a return policy or a refund policy for their ticketed customers. And Air Canada's like, nope, that's not accurate. That's not a thing. That's not our policy. Fortunately, the Canadian government thought otherwise and said, no, your customer's chatbot acted as an agent of your company. Therefore, you have to uphold this policy that it created, again, through a hallucination. And it cost them millions of dollars to correct that because they had to fulfill what the chatbot was saying to those customers that it was engaging with. So from our perspective, it's like, great, yes, we wanted to change our business and help us and do all these great things, but how do we make it into this enterprise state? How do we bring it to that point where it's not going to sign us up for a bunch of liability and turn into this big giant problem? So that's a lot of what we're facing right now, is like how to take it from a cool toy to an enterprise class tool that our customers expect, especially coming from somebody like Hitachi.
No, I think that's some great inputs, because it's not the next best cool thing my neighbor has, so I should have it. It's not always the same. And
Yep.
and as you said, we must go from just a science experiment to more like a adoptable solution. So that brings to my next question: how can we make it a more successful AI in an enterprise? How can we adopt a successful strategy? Maybe by I want to hear your thoughts. Like, can we have an integrated solution? Can we have a ready solution, which is also open at the same time? It kind of takes certain risks away from my customers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think it comes down to, like, the first step out of everything is a good plan. It is creating a roadmap or that plan to assess the environment and actually understand what makes sense to start. And it's using a consultative approach. And we've created this approach so that we can guide our customers through this. And I joke, I say, listen, I don't want to get an order for infrastructure from any of our customers until they go through our AI discovery process. Because it makes sure that what they're buying actually makes sense and fits for what they're trying to accomplish with it, and that they go into it with a plan and all of the assessments and everything before it. And it's not about saying, hey, I want a 5-year roadmap of what I'm going to do here, but it's like, hey, I want a 5-step roadmap. And it goes into saying, hey, it's not just like, I want to have a customer service agent, or I want to better identify fraud, or I want to have an information management system, because we have tons and tons of examples. AI really is like the power of your imagination on what you can do. But it's like, what's practical and pragmatic, but also, do I have the right data for that use case? So it's the assessment of the data side of it. It's the, hey, what do I need to do to integrate in from a source data perspective all the way out to what's consuming the output from the service, and how do I actually better integrate in and consume it into my ecosystem, my environment. It also is about where to appropriately start in the business. Everyone wants to go at the core of the business, like, hey, this is what defines my business. If you say, what is the core thing my business does, they want to make that thing the greatest thing ever and reinforce it and make it the super powerful, better AI enabled thing. Unfortunately, it's probably not a great place to start when you want to go into the AI journey. You want to start at the peripheral. You want to start at the boundary of your business, of your company, and then get familiarity there. Fail quickly there if you're going to, and then ramp up your skills and become more and more familiar with it the closer you get to the core of your business. To where ultimately, yes, you will help improve on the core of your business. But hey, what can we do at the edge, get familiar with it, and then work our way in? And then you also need to understand the legal requirements of the space you operate inside of. If you're in healthcare, what about private information? In the US, we have this thing called HIPAA. It's the laws that basically prevent us from exposing patient data, sensitive health data, accidentally or intentionally or whatever. It's very protected information. And there are a lot of nations who have this level of protection for that information. So you want to be able to treat that appropriately and only expose the AI solutions with that data to the right people. So the security construct that comes around it. And then there's a lot of regulatory requirements about the models that you have to create, depending on what you're doing, or in how you're tuning, or the data that you're curating into it. So all of this stuff has to be taken into account. And this AI discovery service helps path that out through a very consultative approach, and it's this engagement. And then if you don't understand what training, tuning, RAG, or inferencing, or any of that stuff does, then you need to work with an expert who does. And more importantly, you need to get the education necessary to actually be able to step into this informed. AI is still a bit of a dark art, especially generative AI. It's still really difficult to explain what's going on inside that black box there. But there's a lot that you can do to really improve on your position and to improve on the knowledge you have about this technology that will allow you to better integrate it in. And then again, understanding all the ramifications for it and then stepping it through it in a very methodical approach. And that's why we're really different. Is I have said it jokingly, I'm not going to take a PO for infrastructure, but I'm kind of serious. I don't want our customers to have this huge investment of infrastructure and then have to sit on it for too long because they're trying to figure this out. I'll say, hey, let's have a plan first and then step our way through it. And that is a really big differentiator for us, and a lot that we can unpack as far as capabilities that we have from a Hitachi perspective. So there's a lot to it, obviously, but it's also not something that you have to have overnight. It takes time to do this. It's funny. I say I don't want infrastructure purchase. I actually had a customer who bought 20 some odd DGX A100s and had them shipped to their data center without actually understanding fully what they ordered. And what happened is that great, we have all this stuff, the data center said, yeah, we can't actually turn this on. We don't have the power and cooling for it. So then they had to retrofit their data center for it. And then they had to sit on it. And today, those A100 DGXs still are not plugged in. And guess what? They're almost paperweights now. They're old. They're aged out. They're great for maybe a sandbox or something like that, but they're definitely not something that you would want to run production workloads off of just because of how dated they are. They're several generations old. So there's a lot, again, all that planning and that methodical approach ahead of time will actually prevent you from having to have that high cost at the end of it. But also think of it this way too. How great would it be to have a plan on paper that was backed by somebody like Hitachi who says, here's a roadmap, Mr. Executive, to my company on how we can start to implement AI, how we can do it in a pragmatic approach that won't cost us a fortune. And they're willing to step through it with us in a very consultative manner to make sure that those are successful and then start to roll it out from there. That starts to answer a lot of questions that our board and our executives, ours being like of each of the companies, are having to answer on to their board and to their bosses. So again, it's like, hey, it benefits us from those who have to do the work, but also benefits everyone above from us on how it can actually improve on their position within the leadership and the executive realm for the company. So it's a huge benefit across the board.
We see a lot of similar questions, Jason. And I think you touch base on a great point on discovery service. I mean, you have given a lot of good inputs, but I'm seeing good response from our participants also. They're asking how a general customer like us adopt an AI without any expertise. So I think that's what we were talking a lot about, discovery service. So having a discovery
service.
It's
not just a discovery service. It's also having a partner who knows about this technology and can go forward. Yep.
Exactly. It is more of a consultative approach than just a discovery service. We will consult you, will help you make best use of it, because if you don't know what RAG is, it's just another acronym for you. So how do you make use of it? So let's see. Are you okay if you take one or two questions? Because I see a lot of interest from the team over here. So before we
absolutely.
go and talk about Hitachi IQ, which is what we want to talk about. Let's take one or two questions and then take it forward. People are asking, what is Hitachi Vantara's strategy in addressing AI? Yes, we're going to cover that soon. But yes, this question is about the standards and criteria in choosing the best and most suitable AI. Of course, there's no single answer for that, but you want to take this question quickly, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually that's not an easy question to answer. So the criteria and standards really comes to the businesses that you operate inside of. If you're financial services or if you're a heavily regulated industry, you have to pay attention to the regulations. The criteria around it is what works for your business. What does your security approve? If you are familiar with the LLMs, large language models, there's a ton of them out there. Just go to Hugging Face and you'll see all the examples. So it's understanding what has been vetted and what's approved for you guys to operate inside of. And that's a lot that we can do to help you understand that from an LLM choosing method and how to operate with those. But then also is how to actually vet the legal side of it as well to make sure that you're going into something that fundamentally works for you and doesn't sign you up for liability. Like I said, it's I apologize for it being kind of this open-ended answer, but there is a lot to it that you have to take into account. But I think most importantly is when you're choosing the criteria of where you want to start from an AI perspective, it's again understanding what's that highest benefit, lowest risk, lowest cost, and then blending that out inside the choices. And that goes through a lot of conversation to unpack that with a lot of the lines of business owners. Remember, IT is going to be paying for this, but in most cases, the ownership comes from lines of business and who's going to be actually consuming the technology. So it's more than just, hey, what does IT say about that? Or hey, what does a manager say about that? Well, what about those actual lines of businesses that are actually interfacing into that? And that's, again, how this discovery service, it's like a 3-week process that we go through with you, and we really unpack a lot of the options and how we can actually successfully execute.
Just last question before I ask you about Hitachi IQ. I see a lot of banking customers in our list today, and there's a good question from one of the participants. the person wants to know, do we have any bank that have successfully deployed AI ML in their digital banking channels, or if not digital banking channels, something else? And is it safe and secure to use AI in financial institutions, financial transactions, and in such environments?
Yeah, absolutely. So this again goes to like public facing versus internal tooling. Absolutely. We have customers who have utilized AI for a number of years, actually. Think about KYC or AML. Sorry, that's for those who don't know, that's know your customer anti-money laundering. A lot of that is regulation that's stipulated to do banking with the US government or into the US market. So every bank has to sign up for this. And basically what it is it's AI that's used to identify, do we have any fraudulent activity? Do we have any problems with customers or things like that? That is an internal process that has a lot of AI driving those results. And that's more on the traditional AI side of it. Let me remind you, AI has been around for a long time. Generative AI, ChatGPT, Gemini, those guys made it really popular. I like to say it's the new sexy thing now, but it's been around for quite some time and it's been used in anti-fraud and in customer service engagements and things like that. It's now how we're trending into kind of that next generation side of it and how we can understand data and use the AI to parse data and give us a better, more clear understanding as we start to look at lots of different areas of data that's necessary to solve a question or a business process. So there's a lot that comes to it from there. But yeah, AI has been it's a rather mature technology, if even in the financial space. I guess it depends on just like how you want to step into it from the more modern generative AI approach, or again, what's being done on the more traditional AI column, being things like fraud detection and platforms like that.
Yeah, I think that's a good input. So I think you got your answer where the person who was asking for it. Yes, we have internal and external customers. Not all customers can be named in this chat, but please reach out to us. We will give you more details about it. And we have been known to provide right tools for financial customer for years, right? So we do have help our customers in financial services adopt AI for right use cases.
Absolutely.
Now, with that, let's go on to this whole new Hitachi IQ, Jason. Tell us more about what is Hitachi IQ. What is this new announcement that Hitachi has done along with NVIDIA? What are the components and capabilities of Hitachi IQ? And let's be brief, because we have given good amount of information to customers and partners. Now they want to know what is the solution. So
absolutely. Yep. So Hitachi IQ is really the AI ready. It's what we're doing to make the AI ready. It's two sides to Hitachi IQ. It's been in the works for about 3 years now. Hitachi IQ, the first side of it is AI ready infrastructure. It's what we're doing with NVIDIA through our collaboration and partnership with them. It's what we're doing with WECA, also as known as our HCSF, or Hitachi Content Software for File platform, as well as the switching side, and everything, and our object storage technologies and the rest of our portfolio on what it takes from an infrastructure standpoint to solve the AI problem. To answer the question, it's not a problem, it's a question. At the same time, though, Hitachi IQ is not just infrastructure. In fact, it's not just on-prem. Hitachi Vantara is strategically going after being the most successful hybrid cloud provider from a solution standpoint in the market. And in that, it's us aligning not with just infrastructure on-prem from an AI perspective, but also what's available in the cloud, so that our customers are able to execute how and best they see fit, that aligns with how their businesses currently operate. So it's working inside the NVIDIA ecosystem. It's taking what's available in the hyperscalers or on-prem, providing both if necessary, and then packaging that all together on the other side of Hitachi IQ, which is our AI-ready solutions. It's what we're actually doing from an engineering standpoint to build out AI capabilities. In some cases, we're co-developing those with NVIDIA. In other cases, we're building these in-house or with our partners. It's what it is it's our ability to say, listen, we know about AI. We've known about this for a very long time. We are a solution company, but more importantly, we're an OT company. Big Hitachi is an operational technology company. So we understand about the businesses that many of our customers, those verticals that many of our customers operate inside of. So the same things that we're using for ourselves to improve our own capabilities is also what we're solutionizing and packaging out to improve on our customers' environments. So how to improve on manufacturing or on transportation or city stuff, like federal side, or even what we're doing in financial services or in healthcare. So it's building out AI ready solutions that can shortcut the time to bring in an AI reality into our customer base and then customizing on top of it so that it does integrate in and feed into all the various systems necessary. The thing about Hitachi IQ is though, is it's both and it's as much of either side of the infrastructure or the solution as necessary. And again, operating in the cloud or on-prem or somewhere in the middle to give you that best approach to align to how your businesses operate. So I could go on for days on this, but effectively it's the sum of all of Hitachi is, of who Hitachi is, from the business unit side, the engineering side to create product, and then all the way out to the execution sides. Everything funneling through Hitachi Vantara as the point of execution for our AI strategy. So there's a lot to it, but it really is the culmination of all of the years of effort that we've had, decades of effort in some cases, and now bringing it out into market as AI tangible outcomes.
See, I think our participants are resonating very well with us, because the question that we asked the participants was like, what are the challenges they are facing in adopting AI? And over 60% of them said complexity of integration and lack of expertise. And that's where
Mhm.
a solution like Hitachi IQ, which is a AI ready infrastructure, can come handy. Because if it is an AI ready infrastructure that comes with expertise from Hitachi, Nvidia, and our ecosystem, it takes out the complexity of integration out from the picture. It also brings in the expertise that Hitachi has to offer you, so that you can adopt the AI much faster and make it a successful project. So I think having a solution like Hitachi IQ will definitely help implement a
Mhm.
right AI strategy for our customers.
Yep, absolutely. And it is bringing in that ecosystem from NVIDIA for those who understand what base pod or super pod or all of that stuff is. Obviously, we have engineered a product, but it's what we're doing with that product that makes it really
Exactly.
important.
Is more to make use of the product than just saying yes, it is certified. And that's
Absolutely.
where
Yep.
we're bringing our Hitachi IQ into picture. So
Yep.
so now
Absolutely.
in the second part of our talk, uh, let's hear from our second speaker. So today we have Anthony, who is the APAC CTO for Veka. Anthony heads system engineering for APAC, for Veka at APAC. And Veka file system is an industry-leading high-performance parallel file system. Uh, and Hitachi has partnered with Veka to offer a data platform for AI ML workloads so that we can solve our complex data challenges. So before we get into the to the video, what Anthony is going to cover is how we can leverage a data platform to have best of both, the having the high performance at the same time, quick access to the data, so that you can adopt AI much faster. But before we get into the product, let's hear from Anthony about how do you build the right data platform for AI, and let's hear about what is the strategy around building the right data platform so that we can then leverage the tools and technologies and the infrastructure that we have handy as part of Hitachi IQ to deploy the infrastructure. So can we roll out the video and hear from Anthony?
Solution Engineering Manager for Weka Asia Pacific. It's really exciting to be able to talk to you here today with Jason and Amit about this very exciting initiative that Hitachi Vantara are launching. So let's talk a little bit about AI storage and why high performance storage in particular is required for these kind of AI workloads that are emerging onto the marketplace. So what we have here is a demonstration of an AI workload pipeline. So what happens is that we tend to get very excited about AI. We talk always about inferencing. In other words, we talk about the product of what these AI tools give us. So we log into ChatGPT, we type a prompt, We get an output, we get excited about what we get. Possibly we might get misled by hallucinations, but it is an extremely powerful tool in the right hands. However, inferencing is only one step in a many-step process that's required to produce working AI models. And while there is a lot of desire in the market to shortcut, the short answer is there are no shortcuts. You have to go through a process. And the challenge comes that traditional storage infrastructures, so traditional storage architectures tend to suit certain protocol types, SMB, NFS, S3, POSIX, or they suit extremely heavy read performance or maybe heavy write performance. They might suit extremely small block IO or large block IO, streaming workloads. There's a tremendous variability in the workload profiles of each stage in the AI pipeline. And thus my point is that unless your storage is able to handle each of these different protocol types and workload profile types, you're going to find that certain parts of the process will become extremely slow. And the reality is that time is your enemy here, not only just in inferencing, because there's nothing worse than hitting enter on a prompt and then waiting, but in fact, the whole process is very time dependent. And your ability to move through the process is really going to be determined by things like latency. The other interesting thing is that we're showing here a single process, a single pipeline, which I'll talk about in a moment. But the reality is you will have multiple pipelines all running simultaneously, all at different stages of the pipeline, which means that what you'll end up with is what we call an IO blender effect. But let's just talk about one pipeline. The reality is we need to start with data. So we talk about load. Now, this could be extract, transfer, load. We could be loading files. We could be collecting images. Again, there is a great desire within the market to try and shortcut this and avoid the idea of having to collect data. But the reality is that unless you are building your AI models on well-curated data, or at least thinking about that data, and maybe its provenance, where did you get it from, you may run into some serious problems. And that process of load has a particular workload pattern. It usually uses things like S3 to get the files uploaded and into place. We then go into pre-processing, examining the data, and we've written here retune. The reality is that most organizations are not going to build an LLM or a new model from scratch. That's hard work. But while you may choose to do it, what you will almost certainly have to do is consider retuning, which means re-examining all the layers of that existing model, or fine-tuning, adding some additional layers on top. Both of these processes require things like checkpointing. They take a lot of time, they require a lot of GPUs, and you want to feed those GPUs very fast. Once we've got our model into a good shape, we need to validate. So we move to the next phase. Validation is vitally important. Otherwise, we're going to end up, we're seeing things in the news at the moment where uncurated models, people are asking about how to get things to stick to pizza, and they're being suggested use glue. All right, or how do I increase the how many vitamins and minerals I intake? The suggestion was chew on rocks, right? We know these things don't work, but somehow the model found this data and thought it was good data and gave it to a user. We need to validate. And then finally, we get to the exciting bit, which is, of course, inferencing. Inferencing is the favorite child. It's where we want to be. The interesting thing with inferencing is that you might think it does not have a large amount of storage requirement. After all, if you've loaded the model into the GPU and it's accepting the prompts, it's coming up with the answers, it's just throwing them onto the screen and giving them to the user, I'm sort of done. Think about the scenario that you don't want the GPU to be waiting while the user is typing the prompt. If you've reserved the GPU, if the user never finishes typing the prompt, how long are you going to leave that GPU hanging? You want your GPU working, which means let the user type the prompt, and when they hit enter, then allocate the GPU, which means you need to move fast. Now, the other thing is the output of inferencing is text. Fine, give me a limerick, give me help me write a report for the judge without making up false cases. We might just be producing text, but a lot of inferencing now is producing rich media. So we're going text to image, text to video. The output of inferencing can be significant in size, and I need to store it. And latency, as I've said, is the enemy of user satisfaction. It's fine if the user is using your model for free, but the reality is, in a commercial sense, or in a if you're being paid for this, or if it's internal IT and you're offering models up to your internal users, you want them to run fast. So your ability to actually store the output of those models and retrieve them if the user comes back later and says, right, you gave me this picture of a dog in a spacesuit. Now I want to fine tune that picture. So you have to reload the media and then output new media. Latency is your enemy in that case. And then if your model is producing things that might need to be, may result, if your model, for instance, is helping you decide who to hire, and you're at risk later of being sued because your hiring choices might have had some sort of perceived or actual bias, you need to have archived all the things that led your model to make that decision. Guess what? Each of those phases, different workload patterns, often different protocols. It's very important that the storage that is supporting all of these phases is able to handle that mix. And you can see a whole variety of workload patterns along the top there. NLP pipeline, small bandwidth, medium file size, more read than write, large number of files. But when we get down to the end, the generative AI pipeline, it's all over the place. What is it? Medium, large? It's an IO blender. The challenge being we need storage to support all of those patterns. And this is where HCSF comes in. Because of its zero copy, no tuning architecture, it's able to handle an extremely wide variety of workload patterns, all with extremely low latency, and when a variety of pipelines is running simultaneously, which generates that IO blender effect. So hopefully that's given you some useful information about why storage matters and why having a variety, being able to handle a variety of IO patterns is very important.
Yeah, I think Anthony brought a very good point about how we must have an open data platform to make use of the best investments from GPUs and other infrastructure, like not making more copies, saturating the GPUs without any tuning. All these are very valid points, and I think that brings. And that's why Hitachi has partnered with Weka to bring in the right data platform for the high performance AI ML workloads, while Hitachi can bring in our expertise in stitching things together, getting the right infrastructure to support the file system and the workloads. But with a partnership like Weka, we bring in the right data platform for today's next generation workloads. And some of the guys people on the chat are asking about use cases and reference architecture. We already have resources provided as part of handouts to all of you. We have a reference architecture which talks more about the how we have built the entire solution. So please feel free to download and access our reference architecture, which is provided as handout. And also we have a solution guide which talks more about high level use cases and how the solution is going to address the challenges customer has. So these two are good resources. Please feel free to reach out to our team. We'll give you more details as well.
Absolutely. And also just a plug, if you go to our website, hitachivantara.com, there's an AI section that you can sign up for our AI insiders, where we'll continue to update you with these new content that we generate and new training and all of the material that we create, and so you'll always be kept up to date. And also that reference architecture is version 1. We're actually about to update it with some new information and some new stats that we have from some performance testing and things like that. So that will be a living, breathing document as we expand on it from the infrastructure side of it.
Perfect. So you're saying be AI insider, right, Jason?
Yep, an AI Insider. Yep, it's a group that we have. You can join it, and then it will keep you fully up to date on what's happening.
Perfect. So we encourage everyone to be AI insider. Please log into our Hitachi Vantara website. So Jason, we're coming towards the last phase of our discussion. I want you to quickly tell us a little bit more about the partnership between Hitachi Limited and NVIDIA. And also, what are the key differentiators Hitachi IQ is going to bring to our customers, and how it can help us, how customers accelerate their AI journey today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, as you know, Hitachi Vantara engineers amazing infrastructure solutions, from our VSP1 storage platforms into what we do on object storage sides and everything that we've wrapped around that. This is another piece of that journey. So it is very much a Hitachi engineered solution targeted to meet the demand for AI in the way that Hitachi knows how to do it, in a bulletproof enterprise grade platform that is expected to run just like everything else that we do. It is the modern and latest and greatest, so it is the bleeding edge from capabilities, supporting NDR 400 if you know anything about InfiniBand, or all the way up into 800 gig Ethernet or 800 gig InfiniBand as that starts to evolve out. So it is the latest and fastest from the GPU, the switching, storage, everything about it. But it's also about the modern tooling and framework that we wrap around it for things like LLM ops or ML ops, or all the portions of the portfolio on how you actually consume it from a tooling perspective, Jupyter notebooks and all of that, those great resources. But most importantly, like what Anthony was just talking about, it has the fastest file system on the market. And I will fight anyone about that to support AI workloads and anything else that you throw at it. From our perspective, this is the same thing that we use in media and entertainment and that we use in the AI space and all these, anything that has a absolutely insane performance and very low latency requirement, that is the platform that we use for it. Everything from AI to, like I said, media, all the way into data lakes and data lake houses. But then it's bringing all of this around it from the solution standpoint to support what we're doing, even across our own other BUs. Hitachi, we create foundational models. We are creating foundational models. We're using this exact technology to do that work. So it's a heavy lift. It takes a lot of work. We're using this exact same thing that we're selling out to our customers to support workloads from tuning, training, all of the above. And again, we drink our own champagne here on this thing. And like I said, it is also what we do on the regulatory side of it. Our understanding of how compliance works and security and things like that, and what's necessary to ensure that the right data is being used in the right scenario, and also giving you that auditability or that traceability around how that data has been used, so that you can understand, hey, we maybe had a little bit of bad data go in there from a RAG perspective. Let's extract that out. Let's pull that out from being used, and so that we again can understand that from an inventory and things like that. And then what we do from all of the labeling and cleansing and everything that we can do from the full data pipeline. So it's not just saying, hey, how do we solve the AI question and the inferencing side of it, but it's all the work that you do beforehand. That's what we're investing a lot of time and energy into.
Perfect. That's a great insight, and thank you so much for sharing that. Now let's bring the, you said it's the fastest file system in the industry, right? So let's hear from Anthony about what is this fastest file system in the industry, because a solution like Hitachi IQ also needs a fastest file system in the world. And when we marry these three things together, then only we get the best infrastructure in the world today. Before we go and listen to Anthony's video, can we have the third poll question, please? Want to see what the responses are. So while the poll question comes in, we can also go to the video and hear from Anthony about what is this HCSF, what is this highest performance, best file system in the world, and how it's different. So let's roll the video as well.
Is
Yes,
the
it's loading.
architecture of HCSF. Why does the architecture matter? And why does it make HCSF the ideal platform for our AI, ML, HPC applications and these new emerging workloads that we're trying to deal with in today's market? So along the top, we have all of our classic incoming workloads. Obviously, NVIDIA GPUs are red hot right now, but equally, we could have containerized workloads. We could have things like NFS, SMB workloads. SMB, if you're doing bioinformatics, you're using a cryo-electron microscope, you're going to be producing SMB. If you're in media and entertainment, the chances are you're going to be running Windows applications to do your rendering, or a lot of the artist work. That's going to be running using SMB. So SMB is by no means a second-class citizen here. But obviously, our extremely high-performance workloads, our HPC workloads, are going to be using things like POSIX. They might be using InfiniBand. They may be using Ethernet. Either way, they can all access this extremely high-performance file system that sits across two components, not mandatory, but normally what we see most, particularly larger systems, is we'll have a two-tier scenario. We have a tier of NVMe. So you can see this is in the red. Now, I want to be clear here, by the way, what we're showing here is an example. It's not the only configuration you can buy. In this example, we're showing 8 physical servers and each physical server has 8 physical NVMe's in it. That's not the be all and end all, right? We have customers who have 8, 18, 80, hundreds of physical servers, and with NVMe numbers going from one NVMe per physical server, very unusual, up to 20 NVMe's per physical server. We have the ability to scale to an extremely large number. But the benefit here is the way the data is placed on those NVMe's is that we take all our files as they come into the system and we stripe them using erasure encoding across all of the backends, using each NVMe equally, using each CPU equally, using each network adapter equally, in such a way that you get perfect load balancing, and that's done with practically no administration. As you add additional servers, if we went from 8 to 9 or from 9 to 10, or we added 10 at a go, which we could happily do, we will restripe all the data automatically without any user intervention across all of the new hardware, returning the system to perfect load balancing. If you then realize, okay, I've dramatically over provisioned the system, I actually want to take some hardware away, no problem, provided the surviving hardware, the hardware that you leave behind, has enough physical capacity to hold your data, you can take out servers from the cluster. So you can shrink, you can grow. Very often that's not, you can grow, but you can't shrink. We can do both, as long as we've got the space to hold the data. The other thing here is that it doesn't really matter what the protocol is. As I talked about, NFS, SMB, S3, or POSIX, the same data can be written by one protocol and be read by another protocol. If you want a multi-tenant, we can do this using a concept called organizations. We can separate the tenants out. And the brilliant thing here is that all of the organizations are accessing all the NVMe's in the same manner, perfect load balancing. Of course, maybe your data isn't always hot. Maybe it doesn't always deserve to be on NVMe. The reality is that data at birth tends to be very hot, tends to be very actively used, and at some point it ages out and it doesn't get accessed as often. So we don't really want it to be occupying that high performance NVMe tier. We want the new hot data to get that access. So let's automatically tier that data down to object storage. So what we can do is we can add HCP behind the HCSF cluster so that they form a single namespace. You won't know this from a user perspective. The end user simply writes files to HCSF. HCSF intelligently moves the data onto object storage into HCP when it makes sense to do so. The end result is that I can dramatically grow the file system well beyond the tens or even hundreds of petabytes up to exabyte scale, which is why we talk about exascale capacity tier. We can combine that high performance NVMe tier with our high performance object storage tier to get us up to massive scale. And the beautiful thing is, as I said, this is all done with practically no administrative overhead. Traditional parallel file systems are high admin. If you have good admins, you'll be very happy with that solution. However, you need to go out and hire expensive SMEs who have to have deep knowledge, and they may end up tuning the parallel file system for a particular workload which is unsuitable for other workloads. Remember when we talked about before, AI workloads do not have a single workload pattern. And they, in fact, suffer from the IO blender effect, where multiple pipelines all running at the same time, all at different stages, generating an extremely wide and unpredictable variety of workload types. You are only going to be able to cope with those with a system that understands this perfect load balancing, that has distributed metadata servers, such that you do not get bottlenecks anywhere in the system. This is what HCSF provides, that single unified namespace, automatically tiered, able to burst, handling all your multiple protocols, and able to handle all of the incoming workload types, as we've shown along the top there, that new AI workloads are generating.
I think that's a great insight. Having a platform like HCSF, which can not only benefit the workloads with the GPUs, but even the other workloads where we can run our file system based workloads, object storage, S3 kind of workloads, use it at the same time for both traditional as well as modern workloads would be very handy. And being an NVMe based parallel file system with the distributed data and distributed metadata, I think we can bring in the right performance at right costs. Having object storage attached to it, it can also easily bring in the economies of scale. Thank you, Anthony, for sharing that. And with that, we are coming towards the very end of our time. There are a lot of good questions on the chat. So Jason, let's take a couple of questions from the chat. and try to answer a few of them. If you're okay, I'll read out a few questions and then we will take it.
Yeah, perfect.
So there's one question that interests me. Maybe it might interest others also. This is from the healthcare industry. It says how generative AI can be used in healthcare, such as collecting data from DNA, or for vaccine suggestions, to do some cancer treatments, etc. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So specifically to generative AI, remember there's two frames of generative AI, and I'll keep this short because again, this is a very popular topic and go in a lot of directions on. Think of it this way. Here's one very cool example is when we want to detect cancer, not all cancers are common. So having enough information to identify the patterns and to train an AI model on cancer patterns can be very difficult. Think of it this way though, and it's sensitive obviously from the nature of the data that has to be collected. But if you have just enough data, not necessarily to train a model, but to create synthetic data around, you can actually use generative AI to create synthetic samples of those cancer cells and then use that to train a model on how to detect cancer of that specific type. This is the same methodology that's being used to train autonomous vehicles. Instead of having a car drive every pattern thousands of times that we could potentially run into from a driving scenario, is in virtual space and synthetic space, we can actually simulate all of those various driving scenarios. And because it's in real world quality, we can actually train the AI to detect those incidences it gets involved in that it identifies without actually having to do that in real life. That's just one small example of how we can use generative AI to improve on detecting cancer by creating a bunch of fake cancer to train the model against and then to validate against. So you can use synthetic data to train with, and then you can use real data to validate against. So it's just one really cool example.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good, nice example, Jason. There are a lot of interesting questions. Unfortunately, with the time limit we have, we can't answer all the questions. But what we're going to do is we take down all the questions and provide all the answers. We'll remove the name so that it is anonymized, but we'll give all the answers as a response to this. Last thing before we go ahead, what should be the next logical step as a customer I should take before you head out? Jason, throw some light on. We now know trends, some challenges, what Hitachi has to offer. We have the right data platform. But what is my next step? What should I do next?
4 easy steps here. I'll make it super quick and easy. Number 1, get educated. And they're all of equal order, so it doesn't matter on the order. Get educated. Use the content that we're creating and releasing. Sign up for the AI Insiders group. Go to YouTube. Just type into YouTube, what is RAG? Or Medium is a fantastic blogging site where you can go in and read tons and tons of articles that are constantly being created and you get new ideas. I read it all the time. But get educated about this topic, because the more that you understand about it, the more successful you'll be at it. Secondly, engage with your partner and with Hitachi Vantara specialist. Call Amit. Amit's phone number is published everywhere. Call him, get engaged with him, engage with your partner to engage with Hitachi, and we can work with you in helping to explore and understand this a lot more. That leads into point number 3, which is use the discovery service to identify that, where to start, the value of it, create a proof of concept out of it, that roadmap, all of that. That can all come from that discovery service. That is super critical to being able to chart the path to your success. And lastly, is lay a proper foundation to build AI on. Remember, your AI is only as good as the data that you feed into it, again, through RAG and tuning and things like that. And remember, we have systems in place today, like Oracle and things like that, that we are business critical for our ERP systems and for our customer information and all of that stuff. Those are hotbeds of information that we need to feed into the AI process to get relevant and insightful answers out of. If those systems aren't up to snuff to be able to support the workload you're doing today and AI on top of it, then you're going to have a major problem and you're not going to be AI ready. So take the time to make sure, while we're discovering all the capabilities and what potential is and what to look at as our starting point for all that, bolster up and modernize those AI systems that you may have neglected for the last little while. If you have a 27-year-old Oracle environment, you might want to refresh it, or you might want to at least make sure the infrastructure powering it can support the workload that we're talking about that AI will bring on top of it. So if you follow those 4 steps, again, remember, engage with your partner in Hitachi, the specialists, use the discovery service, lay the foundation, and get educated. 4 simple steps that will start to chart the path to your success. And then obviously we're here to support you guys in any way that we can. And obviously would like to further this conversation in a much deeper level of information.
Thank you so much for the insights, Jason. And I also I'm trying to recollect how many times I have searched what is RAG on YouTube and on when it came for the first time. So I think getting educated and informed is must today. Without that, it's just become one amongst the crowd, right? But thank you so much for sharing all your insights. And I would like to thank all the participants. It was very nice participation from the team. Good questions. The questions that are not answered, we'll try and answer it and share with the participants. And I think with that, we can call it a day and give the control back to our host.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, team.
All right. Hi. Hello. I'm back once again. And I would just like to say thank you to Amit, Jason, and Anthony for that very wonderful, very engaging, and very insightful discussion and presentation. And of course, as I promised earlier, we will be having a raffle at the end of this webinar. And in order to qualify for the iPhone 15 giveaway, you need to answer the survey form, which is right there on the left side of your screen. If you could see it, there you go. You can scan the survey and you need to answer that and submit it so we can add your name to the list of names. And we will be giving you only 3 minutes. Once again, we will be giving you only 3 minutes to fill the survey, to answer the survey. And I've officially started the time. Don't worry, guys, because this is super easy. We only have a few questions, I think around 5 questions. And if you're done, please submit it so we can record your name and add it to our live raffle draw later. So stay tuned until the very, very, very end of the program because we will be having that live wheel with all of your names on it. And if you link, please. Oh, okay. So the link is on the left side of your screen. There's a QR code that you can scan, or you can click it to get the webinar survey for this whole webinar. Only 5 questions, and you have 3 minutes. And according to my time, you only have 2 minutes left to answer. Super easy 5 questions. And if you are done, maybe I can see some hands here on the chat. You can type in done. There we go. We have people that already submitted the survey, and I wish you all luck. So, in just a few moments, we will be figuring out who is the lucky winner of the iPhone 15. And by the way, please do check out the Hitachi Vantara social media platforms and, of course, the website that is www.hitachivantara.com. On LinkedIn, that is Hitachi Vantara, and also on Facebook, Hitachi Vantara. And on X, you can find Hitachi Vantara on X at Hitachi Vantara, and also on Instagram at Hitachi Vantara. And also don't forget to check out Elevate Space on LinkedIn and the official website of Elevate Space, that is www.elevatespace.com. And before we end our timer, you only have 1 minute left. Again, the early birds get a prize. You get $10. Yes, there we go. If you can see on your screens, you will be getting Grab and or Amazon vouchers. And don't you worry because we will be getting in touch with you. So please check your emails from time to time. Give us around 7 working days to get in touch with you and let you know how you will be claiming your $10 vouchers. All right. We have 25 seconds left to answer the survey. I see that we already have a lot of people that answered. All right. Just 15 more seconds. So if you haven't yet, please fulfill the survey located at the lower left of your screen. And time is up. All right. Okay. So to all of our participants, there we go. We can see it on the screen, on your screens, the wheel of names. By the way, this is the prize, if you can see. There we go, the iPhone 15. There we go. And now we will be clicking spin in 3, 2, 1. The wheel has officially started spinning. And by the way, if you are here, please make your presence known. Anthony Jonathan Luistro, Malaysia Airlines. Congratulations to you. You have officially won this iPhone 15. So, it's really great this whole webinar. You learned a lot from the speakers and the panel discussion. And to the winner, Anthony Jonathan Luistro, are you here? Can I get a hands up or just a quick I'm here from Anthony? Is Anthony here? Just so we know that you're here. I'm sure you're here because you answered the survey. There we go, Anthony. Okay. Congratulations to you for your brand new iPhone 15. Don't worry, we will remain in contact with you. Please check your email on how you will be able to claim your prize, and also to the 100 participants for the early bird raffle that we had earlier. Or not really raffle, the early bird prize for you all. We will be in contact with you through your email registered. So you stay tuned. And with that, I would officially like to close this webinar. Thank you so much to all the attendees and, of course, to our esteemed speakers. We really appreciate your participation in this very insightful discussion. And, of course, the recording for today's session will be made available. Check your email soon because we will be emailing that as well. If you have any further questions or need additional information, feel free to contact the details below that is flashed on your screen. And we look forward to welcoming you back in our upcoming webinars. Should you need a turnkey project contractor, please contact us or visit our website info@elevate-events.com for your e-certificate. Thank you so much to everyone and have a pleasant day.
Hitachi IQ is our new portfolio of infrastructure and solutions to address the AI market. Solving for infrastructure, we've combined the best in market offerings from NVIDIA with our award-winning high-performance parallel file system, Hitachi Content Software for File, or HCSF. This combination provides the fastest time to insights by accelerating the GPU workloads by over 20x. This, combined with our object storage platform HCP, provides the best-in-class economics for AI platforms, especially at scale. In addition to our infrastructure offerings, Hitachi will leverage our 110-year pedigree of powering operational technology, or OT industries, including transportation, energy, and manufacturing, to curate a portfolio of AI solutions offered within the Hitachi IQ portfolio. Built on NVIDIA's AI Enterprise Framework, these solutions will be designed to simplify the adoption of AI-driven outcomes across industry, furthering Hitachi's mission for improved sustainability and social innovation. By working with both our global ecosystem of partners and our Hitachi sister companies, Hitachi IQ's goal is simple. We want to create market-tailored AI solutions designed for both industrials and businesses committed to AI emergence. Its mission is to empower our customers' organizations to automate their processes, accelerate time to insights, and unlock innovation, allowing our customers to reach their full potential.